Welcome to our tutorial on masking in the ARFF Interactive Board. In this tutorial, we'll see where the mask tool is located at in the software. We'll also look at the mask toolbar and the associated tools. After that, we'll create a couple of scenarios using the mask tool. Let's go ahead and get started. Now for our first scenario, I've imported in this background here of this school. And what we want to do is we want to place a fire and have it coming out of this window right here. And we're going to do that by using the fires and the mask tools inside the ARFF Interactive Board. Now when we first import in this image here, we're going to be prompted by the settings window to scale the background here. And what I would normally do is scale it to this 200-foot scale here, and I would find a runway to do that. But for this application, we're just going to grab this slider here and we're going to reduce that image down to as small as possible. Now we want to make sure that we're in the pause edit mode, and let's center this image right here, this window, so it's our main focus. This is what we're going to be working on. Now let's go ahead and find where we keep the masks in the ARFF Interactive Board. Here we have the ARFF Assets panel, and right in the other section is where we keep the mask. Now when I first bring that in, all we see basically is the toolbar here. And I see some familiar items here. Let's cover that stuff and then we'll get over here. We have a rotate tool, we have the delete function, and we have the move tool. Now over here on this side, we have a new button we haven't seen before, and this is the reposition mask nodes tool. Let's go ahead and activate it. Alright, now as far as nodes go, this is what a node is right here, and I can click on it with the left mouse button and I can move that around. And what you're going to do is you're going to find a defined area that you want to cover, and then you're going to set it up using these nodes right here. So what am I just looking at right now? Well, here we have the background image underneath, and on top of that we have a mask. And it just so happens that this mask is identical to the background image here, only it's cut out, and this is the only piece that we have of the mask. Alright, so what we want to do is we're going to cover the outside edge of this window with masks, and then we're going to place underneath this the fire, so the fire's peeking out over around the edge of that, so it will appear as if the fire is inside the window here. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that, and then I'm going to move the mask edge over to line up with close to this edge here. And then I'm going to activate it where I can see the nodes again. Then I'm going to grab one and I'm just going to stretch it up like this. I'll take the bottom one. And then because I'm going to have fire in here, some of that fire might bleed over into this area here. So let's kind of make this mask a little bit large, and I'm going to cover this whole area right here just in case I have some bleed over. And let's go ahead and add another mask. So I'm going to bring this one over, activate it. Let's grab this node and stretch it down. And I have one left here. And we're going to line it up with the seal here on the window. Alright, so I've covered up all around the edges of the window with masks, and we have an opening right here in the middle which leads to the same background here. Now a little bit about these masks. If I want to hide them, and remember I'm in the pause edit mode, I'm just going to hit the X here and they will all hide. But I know that there's masks all the way around there. Now if I want to bring one up, or all of them I should say, I just click down in the area where there is a mask, and that will bring up this tool, and when I activate the nodes, they all are activated at the same time. So let's go ahead and add some fire here to that window. Now let's go ahead and let's remove the smoke and just have flames. And that's going to allow me to size this fire a little bit more clearly, because I'm having a difficult time determining where the exact edge of the fire is here. And I'm also going to unlock this fire, and I'm going to control the wind using the tool here rather than control it right here. So I'm going to reduce it down in size. And I'm going to purposely overlap over the edges of everything here. Okay, I think that's pretty good right there. And now I want to set this fire so it's underneath the masks, but of course above this background here. So I'm going to keep this highlighted, and then I'm going to come down here to the wind direction and speed panel where there's a layers setting here. And currently this fire is set on layer 5. Let's go ahead and take it down and see at what point it's going to go underneath the layers. Right there, all I had to do was click it down one layer and it went underneath it. And now I can still grab it and adjust where that's going to sit in there. Okay, now if I click off of that, I can see the toolbar, well, the activation tool button for the toolbar right here, and I can click on it, and that will bring up the main toolbar for the fire. But if I want to not see this, I'm going to come over here to the play present mode, click on that, and now you can see the fire is in the window there. Now this could be all that we want. If we want to add a fire coming out of the window, we can do that as well. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to add another fire, and I need to be in the pause edit mode. And let's reduce this down the size of that, unlock it. Let's keep going down a little bit. We also want to match the speed at which this comes rolling down here. Okay, that's about right. So Down here on the bottom we have a very clear defined edge, and as the heat rises and starts coming out the window, it's starting to cover across the edges of the window. Now I'm betting that we need to add a little bit more smoke to go all the way up to the top of the image. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's add another fire. Let's unlock it, and let's go to just smoke. I'm going to reduce it down and add a little wind speed to it. Now right now this smoke is above in layers with this layer of smoke right here. So in order to blend it a little bit better, I like to put it underneath. So let's go ahead and do that. And I can do that right here. So I can highlight that and I can click the down button and it should go underneath this fire right here. There we go. Now it blends a little bit better with this other upper smoke. So let's back it up. And yes, it does come up to the top of the image. And it's okay if it goes over the top, because basically we're only going to be looking in the classroom at this much of it. All right, so let's go to Play Present. And here we go. So we would use this in the classroom setting where we were working with people who were doing arrival reports. You could do an arrival report for what we're seeing right here. We can also do a tabletop for this whole building and the whole scenario that's going to play out. And we could use this in conjunction with the top-down view that the ARFF Interactive Board likes to use. So we could play this and we could then switch over to that other view and arrive with our vehicles. So this is the first scenario, and it's pretty much a basic level and understanding of how masks work. So let's go ahead and let's do another scenario, and we're going to use the aircraft in this next one. Now for our second scenario, we've imported in this background here with an aircraft on it. And what we're going to do is we're going to lay out some fire right here and have it coming up and maybe angling back a little bit to show some wind direction. At that point, we're going to take some masks and start masking out this aircraft so it appears that the fire is on the other side of the aircraft. Now, upon importing this image here, of course, we need to make sure that we go to the settings window and scale this image down as small as possible. Then we need to make sure that we're in the pause edit mode. Now let's go ahead and add some fire. Now as I add this fire in here, I'm going to unlock it because I want to control all the elements of this fire here. So let's go ahead and leave it here. And let's go ahead and angle it back just a little bit to show some wind. And let's go ahead and add another fire. We're going to angle that as well. Now, what's going to determine where I set this second fire is going to be how high I want it to protrude over the top of the fuselage. So I want to show some fire on the other side. So let's go ahead and just set it up about right here. And I can always come back and revisit this and adjust it later. All right, from here, let's go ahead and let's go get some masks. So I'm going to go to the ARFF Assets panel. I'm going to go to the Other section. And here we go. I'm going to start adding some masks. And what I want to do with this first one is right here I can see the top of the fuselage. And that's where I'm going to start lining up those nodes. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this. So I'm going to start masking out the fuselage right here. And I'm going to go as far as I can in this image. I might have to go a little bit more, but I don't want any of this smoke getting past the end of this mask here. All right, let's add another mask. Let's go ahead and take a look at this where we're at here. Okay, so it looks like we masked out this fuselage up here. And we are going to put a mask down around this engine cowling down here as well. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Now when you do a round curve like this, it's best if you place these nodes fairly close together so the curve looks a little bit more natural. If you put less nodes, you're going to find that the angles are going to be greater through here. And we're getting close. Maybe a couple of more masks here and we'll be done with this little area. And then we're going to probably do a little work on the upper part of this cowling here. All right, let's go back and revisit this one here. It was a little bit off. As well as this one right here. And we seem to be a little bit off here. Okay, so now we've masked around this right here. Let's go ahead and before we finish up the rest of this here, let's mark the bottom of this fire right here. So as I zoom back on this, it appears to me that this fire is actually a little bit more on this side of the aircraft, and that has a lot to do with how far down on the ramp here it's coming. So if I was to look over here and guess that if it was going to be on the other side of the aircraft, the fire would somewhere be ending right around here as it comes back. So let's go ahead and mask this part out, and then we're going to come back and revisit this here in just a minute. So let's line this up somewhere right around here initially, and let's see what kind of results we get. Alright, let's pull it back and let's go to the play mode and see what that looks like. That's fairly realistic. Maybe I might want to just lower it just a tiny bit. I'd feel a little bit better about that. So let's bring this down a little. Let's try that. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, that's looking a little bit better right there. And let's also move this fire here back a little bit. So let's put it in pause and let's tap on that fire and let's slide it over just a little bit. There we go. Yeah, that's looking pretty good right there. We have a big flame coming over the top of the fuselage there. Now, let's go ahead and let's put a mask up and over this because I want to have some smoke that's going to be underneath this mask here, but above the mask here, so the smoke can be between the fuselage and this engine cowling here. So let's go ahead and do that. And we might have to tinker with that a little bit to get that to work. And I think we're getting pretty close to being done to this, so we can start moving on to the next phase of this.
Okay. Let's zoom in and make sure that we're lined up. We're a little bit off down here. Now when you zoom back, things start smoothing out a lot better here. Alright, let's close that out. Zoom back and let's talk about this. So I could leave this just like this here, but what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of smoke rising right here, and it will mix down in this area here, and it's going to give this fire a little bit of texture down here in this area. It's a little bit bright, so we kind of want a little bit of a texture like this smoke where it intermixes with the flame in there. Makes it a little bit more realistic there. So really at this point, a lot of this is just kind of your artistic additions to what you're working on here. So let's play with it, and we might have to tinker with this right here to get everything to blend in perfectly. So let's go ahead and give it a try. So first of all, let's go ahead and add another bit of smoke. So we're going to add a fire. And let's move it over here and let's kill the fire on it just so it's smoke only. And let's reduce it down in size, and let's unlock it so I can work it from right here, the smoke and the wind there. Let's kind of turn it this way. Let's start out with it right here and let's see what kind of effect we have. So right now we have the smoke and it's over the top of the fuselage here, but I want it to be underneath this cowling here. So let's see what layer this cowling is actually on here. We're going to do that by coming down here to the wind direction and speed panel, and it looks like the cowling is on layer 5. And how about this right here? Looks like the smoke is on top of that fire as well. So that's the good news here. So let's drop this down and see if we can put it down below this cowling right here. And I have a feeling it's going to go right behind this fuselage right here. So let's give it a try and see what happens here. Okay, so we went behind that fire there. So let's go ahead and let's lower that fire a little bit. And now our smoke is over the fire, so we achieved something that we wanted to have done right there. But the smoke is now behind the fuselage. So let's go ahead and take this fuselage and let's lower this fuselage right here. We'll have to fix that in just a minute here. There we go. So now the fire is coming over the top of this mask here, but it's going to be underneath this mask right here. Let's go back and revisit this flame right here, and let's put this back down one more layer so it's behind here. And let's zoom in on this, take a look at what's going on here. So we have a big hole here, and you know, we could monkey with this and try to move the mask around, but I think what we're going to just do is add another mask over the top of this. That's the most easy thing to do here. So let's go ahead and add a mask. Let's activate it and look at it here. So let's move this one back, move this one back, so that's all covered up good. And I think that that's good. We're looking good right there. Let's lift this one up just a little bit. Now let's work on this one a little bit here, this smoke here. Just going to make that a little bit bigger. So we're getting some smoke down in here and mixing with that brightness of that flame there. And we're getting a little bit curving up over here. I think that's good. Let's slow the wind down just a little bit and see what kind of effect we get. Or tip it up just a little bit there. We can add a little bit more back here, but let's give it one more try here. Let's see if we can lower the opacity of this smoke a little bit. There we go. So you could spend a lot of time just tinkering it and fine-tuning stuff here. But I think you're getting the point here of what we're trying to do. There we go. Okay, perfect here. Now I think this is pretty much the end of the second scenario here, and I think what we've done here is pretty much what you need to see here. And this is pretty much the basics of masking. And I guess what you could really do here with this image here is when you go out on your ramp to take a photograph like this photo is at the 3 o'clock position. We could take another photo at the 2 o'clock and another photo at the 12, another one at the 10, and on the other side we could take one at the 9 and then move all the way around with the photographs. Then in every photo we could add the fire to this location in the aircraft. Now in the classroom you can open up one image from whatever angle you want to open it up at and let somebody in your classroom know that they're arriving from that angle on the aircraft. Maybe it's this angle here. Now I'm going to have that student come in and talk about his positioning of the apparatus. What angle would you like to approach from? And if he says, hey, I'm going to move over to the 12 and make some decisions of the 12, then you can pull up the 12 o'clock presentation and you can talk about it from there. And then every firefighter that comes after him who is driving a vehicle can give their input as well about their positioning. And it's really fun in the classroom to do that. Now, and after that, we can just tabletop the whole scenario using the top-down view. So it's pretty cool. Now, so what did we learn? We learned how to add the fire here and to manipulate this fire. And we learned how to add the masks. And we learned a little bit more about layers down here. So I hope that this tutorial was good for you. I hope that you can use this information in a presentation that you're preparing. And I hope you come back and see some of our other tutorials. So until then, you folks have a nice day and come back and see us again.